Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back. Today, I have another treat for you. I have a very special guest. And when I heard about her, I thought, oh, I definitely need to have her on. We need to talk about this because, my book is Becoming Your Own BFF, Building Self-Esteem for a Life of Joy. And I wanted to find that because joy is one of those words that is sometimes knocked around so much that I really want to get into defining that a little bit more. So Laura is going to come on, Laura Hess. She's going to tell you more about who she is and what she does. And we are just going to have a very joyful time in our time together here. So here's Laura. Welcome, Laura.
It's my pleasure to be here and truly a joy for me. Been looking
Awesome.
forward to this day.
I know, aren't these fun? It's like it taps into our joy just doing these. And if we can just help that one person, then it was worth it.
Right. Well, and when we were introduced, it was like as soon as we got on the phone, we were talking joy and we were laughing. It's like, how much better does it get than this?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Well,
That's really what it's all about.
it is.
And
Absolutely.
and I think, my goal is to help other people find theirs. Whatever that is, find your joy. So that's why I wanted you to come on, and you have this really cool tool called the Joy Test. And I want you to talk a little bit about that and how people can find a copy for themselves and what you want to accomplish through that. Yeah, just tell the audience who you are and how you got here and what your whole message is.
Wow, that's a really big stage, Randy. It's like
Yeah.
so, so I'm Laura Hess. I live in Las Vegas and I love my life in Las Vegas. It isn't just Strip. For those of us who live here, there's a whole lot more to Las Vegas than most people even think about. And here's a little tidbit for you. The Strip of Las Vegas is actually not in Las Vegas.
Really?
Really. So the city of Las Vegas is outlined, but the Strip is not in it.
Wow. So what's the Strip in?
Clark County.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's in the county.
Well, there you go. Trivia question of the day.
That's all you need to know today for something new, right? We're done. But that's not the joy part of this conversation. Yeah. And the joy test was born in my early years of coaching because I was in that overwhelmed place. It wasn't just even whelmed, it was overwhelmed. And I was talking to my coach and, we were having the conversation. She says, well, what are you doing that brings you joy? I said, well, not this, not. So she said, I challenge you to start really paying attention to where your joy is coming from. Now, at that point, I didn't have the knowledge to question what joy meant. I just knew that I was being drained by the things I was doing, which for me meant it wasn't joyful.
Yeah, that's a big awareness.
Huge.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago for me, I mean, the person I was 20 years ago is certainly different than who I am now.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, I put a Post-it on my computer. And for a very long time, I looked at it. It said, does this pass the joy test? And if the answer was no, I didn't do it. But it also meant that the things I was involved in, I started extricating myself from.
Okay.
So I resigned from boards. I resigned from groups I was involved in. I stopped doing things that I just didn't like. I even stopped being around people and we all know there are plenty of toxic people around us that we can choose to be involved with or not.
Sure.
But there's a price when we do.
Absolutely.
So, but when you're living the joy test, those people don't have a place in your life. Fast forward to 20 years from then, and the joy test came back to life because of a health crisis that I had. And I'm looking at my life and saying, what am I doing? What I'm doing isn't filling me. It's not making my heart sing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bringing me joy. I know about the joy test. I wrote the joy test. I need to start living it more.
Yeah.
So when I got out of the hospital, that's exactly what I did and
Good
started
for you.
realigning my life.
Nice. So here's my question though, and this is something that I've been thinking about as I knew you were coming on.
Okay.
A lot of our audience are people maybe getting out of college, or maybe they've been out of college for 5 years, 10 years. They're in the workforce, relationships are starting, and they might have a job that they enjoy. There's some people there that really get on their nerves, but some are really cool people that they might go have a beer with after work. But for the most part, it's not about finding their joy. It's about, I just want to get by and pay my bills and go on vacation for a few weeks a year and enjoy my friends and my significant others. Where does the joy test fit there with finding joy rather than getting by or just being happy in certain moments?
Well, I wish I had even had any concept of joy in those years of my life,
Yeah.
because the choices we make are really dictated by a whole lot of external factors, typically
Hmm.
versus internal ones. I mean, how
Right.
many people choose careers based on what parents want or somebody is telling them they should or shouldn't do?
Hmm.
And then they get out and start working at it and find they hate it.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I
there's no
find so
joy
many
there.
people, it's like, why do you want to go into this career path? Well, I'm going to make a lot of money. And they
Yeah,
think that that's what's going to make them happy. And then they get there, it's like, I'm miserable.
right. And that's a whole different conversation about money and
Yeah,
happiness. But
absolutely.
I mean, that could take a whole
Oh,
month,
unless we have 5 hours. Yeah.
right, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, the joy test for it applies to everybody, no matter what phase you're in. But the phase you're in is going to determine how it lands with you.
Hmm. Okay.
Again, in your 20s and 30s, you're really still feeling out who you are.
Hmm.
So if
Yes.
you have an awareness of joy, then the decisions you're making can be more informed
Hmm.
about what makes your heart sing, what
Yeah.
expands you.
Hmm.
Um, Yet many people at that stage, and I'm not saying all by any means,
Right.
many people at that stage don't have the presence of mind to stand for themselves in a way that they think they can choose something that is contrary to the mainstream
Right.
or to what somebody's telling them they should do.
Hmm.
So they don't have the strength of character yet necessarily to be able to stand for themselves that way. You know,
Hmm.
there's a fear of fitting in, there's social acceptance and all of that that really comes into play in our younger years.
Huge. Yeah. And I think social media plays a big part in that too.
Absolutely.
Who we want, who people portray themselves as being on social media, and who they really are and how they feel about themselves when nobody's watching.
Yes.
But I think what you're talking about is, find those times where you have your joy, and then hopefully over time, you have more and more, so that as you have more freedom with your career, your family, those choices just keep growing and your joy grows. But I think you talked about that awareness of joy.
Yes, and that goes to, Randy, what we have talked about before in glimmer moments.
Oh, I can't wait to get to those. Yes.
Because that's what it's about. If we start early on noticing the glimmers,
Hmm.
then it starts becoming a way of being, and it does carry through your whole life, and it just grows and becomes more stronger.
Yeah. Okay,
And
you know what? Before we get into it more, explain glimmers for our audience.
okay, the glimmer moments are those times, those situations, those experience where you have positivity. They're simple things, feelings of happiness, peace, gratitude, and they happen instantaneously.
Mhm.
Typically, we gloss right over them because they're here and gone.
Mhm.
Most. Let me give you an example. I'm noticing in my world, and the joy test has been my life for many years, so it's
Mhm.
not new to me, but I'm noticing a whole lot more glimmers these days.
Mm.
One was my harp. And I mean, I come into my office every day, I see my harps and I smile. That's a glimmer.
And that's a glimmer, right? Yep.
I go into my kitchen and I have orchids and I have a whole bunch of orchids in one great big pot.
Mhm.
And this year I have 5 stems coming out of my orchids at the same time.
Wow.
So I'm getting like orchid blossoms and every morning there's something
Oh,
new to look at in my orchid bowl.
that is so cool.
It's very cool.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's little things like that. Those
And
are
and
glimmer.
so everyone has their own
Yes.
ways of having a glimmer. For some, it's like an orchid, but oh, when I can see a sunset
Yes.
or the full moon the other night was amazing. And when we stop to acknowledge that, it's a glimmer.
Right. And the key here is stopping to acknowledge
Yes.
and appreciating.
And not glossing right over it.
Right. Is
Mhm.
to actually be very intentional about when those glimmers are happening for you.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Because
when I go to my job at Disney, I mean, it's like one guest after the next, glimmer, glimmer, glimmer. I leave and it's like I feel like I'm a firework of just
right,
glimmer coming off of me. It's awesome. And
right.
the goal is to find that for yourself. With you, it's your harp. When you get to play or just be around it or hear the music.
Well, I for me, it's a whole lot of things. I've got a
Yeah.
quote by Van Gogh that says, "If you want to know life, love many things."
Yep.
And it's true. I mean, we're not locked into one thing to give us joy, to bring us, just
Hmm.
to set off the glimmers. I mean,
Right.
my dogs do, my husband does, my home does. I
Yeah.
have glimmers everywhere when I'm cooking.
Hmm.
And for some people it's, skiing or surfing or whatever they're doing, sailing.
Hmm.
For some people it's grandkids. Um,
Yeah. Or
whatever it
kids.
is,
Or yeah.
or
So
kids.
I think for people in their 20s and 30s and even 40s to start bringing this awareness, what are the things that bring me glimmers? And then to be aware, or something will happen. It's like, ooh, oh, is that one of those glimmer things that she was talking about?
Yes.
So it's to bring that awareness to it is the first step.
Right. It's kind of like in years ago, um, when simple abundance was very big,
Yeah.
and one of the things she had people do was to have a gratitude journal,
Hmm.
and it's similar to that
Okay.
because you had to pay attention if you were going to record gratitudes.
Sure.
You have to be intentional and pay attention if you're going to notice your glimmers.
Hmm. So almost have a glimmer journal or
Yes.
something on your phone, under notes, put glimmers. And just when one happens, oh, this one. And you add that one to your
Yeah,
list.
that's a great idea. So we need
Yeah.
to add that to the list. Make an
Yeah.
app for glimmers.
Ooh. Oh,
Ooh.
a glimmer. That would be so cool. Oh, Laura, go for it. Yeah.
And, you know how long my to-do list is already.
Oh, I have one of those too. I'm right there with you.
Oh, yeah.
I wake up at 2 in the morning. It's like, oh, I want to do this now. Like, oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have people who slap me out of it.
Yeah, I do too. It's like the reality check people.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So to bring the awareness to the glimmers and kind of the way that I see it, the glimmers lead to the joy. When we acknowledge the glimmer, it brings joy.
glimmers are joy.
Okay. Yeah.
They are part of the path to joy.
Mhm.
So, yes, glimmers are sort of like opening the door
Mhm.
to a life of joy
Nice. Yeah, that's a
because
good way to put it.
they're there.
Yeah.
They're just there. And I don't care what's going on in your life. I mean, we've all had times of crisis. We've
Yeah.
all had bad stuff happen. But even in those times, you can see glimmers.
Yes. Right.
Always.
Even if they might be really dim, they're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my challenge to people is to pay attention and
Hmm.
just really notice. I mean, you can have hundreds of thousands of glimmers a day
Sure. Yeah.
if you open yourself up to noticing.
Hmm. And I think, would you say that there are maybe small G glimmers and big G glimmers? Some kind of hit you in the face. It's like, wow, that is amazing. And others are like, ooh, that was really cool. If I wasn't really aware of it, I wouldn't even see that as a glimmer.
I don't differentiate
Okay.
because a glimmer is a joy moment.
Glimmer is a glimmer.
A
Yeah.
glimmer is a glimmer. Now, if you want to differentiate, I wouldn't call the other a glimmer. I would call it a starburst. Okay. Because, sometimes something does big happen
Yeah.
and it touches you, but that's a different kind of moment.
Hmm.
The glimmers are typically the smaller ones.
Okay. That
Um,
makes sense.
and
Yeah.
that's why we tend to miss them
Right. And
or
unless
ignore
we're
them.
intentional about paying attention,
Right.
we'll skip right over them. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. So, how do people get in touch with you if they want coaching, if they want to know more about this, if they want to get a hold of the joy test? How do people find you?
Well, I have email, I have telephone, and I have a way for people to actually schedule a telephone call with me if they'd rather not just pick up the phone.
Okay. Do you
Um,
have a website?
I have a website. The
Okay.
best page for it right now is thejoytest.com.
Oh, well, there you go.
That one is built on our current website. It's my website is being totally redone right now.
Yeah.
But the
But if
joy
they go
test,
to thejoytest.com, they'll be able to find you.
yes, they will. They will.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then on that web page, for people who are interested in really pursuing joy, there
Mhm.
is an infographic called The Path to Joy.
Yeah.
And it's actually 8 steps on a path that are that will lead you to a life of joy.
Wow. Nice.
And they can get the link from there.
Oh, wonderful. Ooh, that's a great resource for people.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
great first step into the joy, living joy.
Yeah. Because that's the ultimate goal. And I really believe that the earlier you start, because
Yes.
finding it and it takes practice because
It does.
life will sometimes attempt to get in the way and
Yep.
things happen and all the, the current of life in the river, it's hard to get lost in that. But the earlier you bring your awareness to this, once you get to retirement, man, it can just
Well,
so
yeah. And the goal is retirement. If we're even going to call it that, that's
mhm,
supposed to be a time of freedom and opportunity and
mhm,
really doing things you love. But if you've spent your life in in the rat race and under somebody's thumb,
yeah,
joy is much harder to mine out.
yeah, yeah,
So let's start early and get going now so that when we step into that encore phase, we're ready to
exactly.
really embrace it.
Right. And then, we're the lucky ones because we have jobs, I guess you'd call it a job, that already brings us joy and we get
Right.
to live it. And we can do this until we're 104.
Right. And that's the wish for everybody, that they be doing something that they love. I was a CPA for many years. I'm one of those people that went to school to do something that, somebody else said was good for me. I get
Yeah.
into it, it's like I don't like this work. It doesn't bring me joy.
Hmm.
So, you get out of it.
Yeah.
And how many people said, "How can you possibly give it up? You went to school for so long and you took the test and yeah, but I don't like it."
Yeah. Laura, you're not conforming.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it won't
And
be the last
sometimes,
time.
yeah, but sometimes we have to fight against those social norms and the
Yes,
societal and familial pressures that we have in order to really find our joy and
we
live a
do.
life that we're going to be happy with.
We do.
Yeah, but it's possible. It is
And it's
possible.
not an easy road, which is why one of the things I advocate for people is to really have a solid group of friends or
Hmm.
support who will support
Yes.
you on the path, even
Hmm.
if they don't agree with you.
Yes, exactly. And actually, that was one of the reasons why I created Club 528, the community that I've started. It's a place for people to come together, and it's like-minded people who want to find their joy and build self-esteem and feel better about who they are, where they fit in the world. So, that was the number one reason why I started that, because
Right.
when I started, I had one community, but I didn't have people that were encouraging me in the ways that I want to encourage people.
Right. I think that's one of the things that, especially the women that I work with, at,
Hmm.
once they leave the workforce
Hmm.
and they're in that encore or retirement or
Hmm.
whatever we want to call it. One of the things they lose is community.
Right. Sure.
And they have
Mhm.
to find a way to recreate it.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. And the community part is so important.
It is.
I mean, COVID took us apart.
Yep.
Now we need to find our way back.
Yep.
It's so
Exactly.
important to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. I am
And
so happy that you're doing this. It is so much needed. And it's just such an honor to know you. And I'm looking forward to, I'll probably bring you back. We'll have another conversation.
okay.
Yeah. Would that
This
be
is
okay
fun.
with you?
But I love you. So it's like anytime I get to have a conversation with you, I'm a happy camper.
Back
So
at you. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And see, this is when you're tapped into this lane, the people that are drawn into it,
Yes.
it's kind of like, it's not like the universe says, Randy, you're on the right path. I like where you're going. But it brings people in, and situations just happen that let me know, wow, I'm really on the right path. But if things aren't going well and it's continual, maybe I need to do something different.
Well, and I'm a very firm believer in the power of attraction. So
Yes, absolutely.
if I'm attracting a certain kind of people and they're not the people that I want, I need to look in the mirror
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's something that I'm doing that's creating that attraction. So
Right.
it's all on me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my view is I'm just going to be who I am. If you like me, great. If you don't, that's okay too.
Right.
Go find your tribe somewhere else. That's awesome. I like to say I'm an 80-20 guy. People either really like me, 80% like me, and 20%, for whatever reason, I just rub them the wrong way and they do not like me. And I can tell in a moment, it's like,
Yeah.
ooh, that guy doesn't like me. But it's not like I go, oh my God, they don't like me. I better get them to like me. No, it's like, hey, go live your life. I wish you well. No hard
Right.
feelings. And I
Right.
totally get it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. You can't be friends with everybody.
No, and I'm not gonna change me just because someone doesn't like me.
No, I
No,
spent
because
too
I
many
like
years
me the
doing
way
that.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too many of us spent too much time adjusting who we are depending on who we're around. It's a
yeah,
waste of energy and
yeah.
nobody wins.
Yeah, I like to say that I was a chameleon for so long, changing colors for everywhere. I forgot what color I really was.
And that's a really good metaphor, Randy. I
Mhm.
like it.
Yeah,
It's being a chameleon. I really like that metaphor.
yeah. And then I finally realized I'm purple, and I like being purple, and that's why my video editor guy came up and set up my office for me as my studio. And we got these really cool lights, and I can make it any color that I want. And of course, they're purple.
Of course they are.
Yeah, have to be.
See, and that's another reason we get along so well, because my color is purple too.
Gosh, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
us purple people. Yeah,
that's it. That's
cool.
it.
Well, Laura, it has been such a pleasure having you on, and I hope people find you, and let's start bringing awareness to the glimmers and the joy and all. There's so much negative going on in the world right now. Let's focus on some of the positive, because we all have positive as well.
Yes.
So it depends where we want to put our intention and where we want to put our focus.
Right.
So that's the hope, that people start finding more joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find it and spread it.
Absolutely. And spread it to others. Oh, yeah. That's the best part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank
I
you
will,
so
Randy.
much for being
Thank
here. and I will see you again.
Bye, Randy.
Take care, Laura.